Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to ESPN Sundays. We've got a jam-packed afternoon of football for you today, with 2 live French League One games coming up, plus all of yesterday's goals from the Premier League. And after Swansea and Fulham's performance, we won't be struggling to fill the time on Talk of the Terrace. Good afternoon, welcome to ESPN Live Bundesliga. It's -1 and the snow is falling in Munich, as today we check in on the early season pace setters. Bayern, 8 wins from 8 leaves them unsurprisingly top of the table. Their opponents today, Bayer Leverkusen, always dangerous, very much want to be the team to break the streak. Joining me in the studio to catch up on all the big stories from around the league, as well as analysing this one, a football writer, Raphael Honigstein, and a former Bayern and Germany midfielder, Dietmar Hamann. Afternoon, guys. Joining me in the studio to discuss this one and many of the big stories from around League One, a football writer for French daily Le Parisien, Julien Laurent, and alongside him, putting in a busy shift today because he'll be commentating on our game as well, former West Ham and Arsenal midfielder, Stuart Robson. Afternoon, guys. Raph, we'll look at Leverkusen, 8-match unbeaten run, a 4-0 win over Rapid Vienna in midweek, but it's slightly misleading because a lot of the teams that they've beaten haven't exactly been top draws. So what kind of Leverkusen team is this? Are they serious contenders for a Champions League place or more? That's a good point, Stuart. I mean, with the Europa League and the pressures that puts in terms of the squad, what do you think would represent good business for Bordeaux this season? If they match what they did last year, come in the top 5, qualify for the Europa League, is that a good return? From a playing perspective, the adverse conditions that we saw, in many respects, I guess they benefited Leverkusen defending a slender lead as opposed to Bayern piling on the pressure and trying to walk the ball in the net at times. Yeah, it's a team that likes to play on the counter-attack. In Kiesling and Schürrle, they've got players with plenty of pace. And that played into their hands in the second half. And let's move to Rennes, Stuart. All the big chat, of course, in the summer around Yann M'Vila. AVB has ruled Spurs out of the race to sign him. It's pretty clear he's going to go. Arsenal may well be the destination for him. He's a crucial player for Rennes, of course, so losing him is going to have a big impact. A remarkable game, Raf. It's a strange one because Bayern dominated it almost entirely, yet it seems like a fair result in many respects.
It was, because I think Leverkusen executed their game plan perfectly.
Julien, you called it pretty much bang on, 60% of the possession for Bordeaux. Rennes very much playing on the counter, edgy, scrappy, and no real chances, clear-cut chances anyway.
Yes, I was a bit disappointed with what Bordeaux is offering so far in that game.
OK, thanks for that. Terrific game. We could spend a lot longer talking about it, but we've got lots of goals from around the Bundesliga to get stuck into. We'll start with the champions, one of the teams, of course, in closest contention with Bayern at the top of the table. And Didi, a much-needed win for them, a big win after their midweek hijinks in the Champions League. What do you think is going to be the future for League One with all this money going into PSG? Because you've covered the game for a number of years. It wasn't always the way. It wasn't always the case that PSG were at the top of the tree. Not so long ago, it was Lyon that was dominating.
Well, Lyon dominated for many years, and Bordeaux were often second. They were the bridesmaid, the runners-up.
Coming up later on ESPN, a change to our scheduled game, of course, adverse weather conditions in Marseille, so Roma Udinese replaces that. That's live tonight at 7:30. Just time for me to thank my guests today, Raph Honigstein, Didi Hamann. Appreciate it, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. We're back in 2 weeks with Stuttgart versus Hanover. Time for me to hand over to the other side of the studio now. Evening, Kel.